Good morning, everyone. Today is November 17th, 2025. We're here for the remand of case number 9651, which is Washington Gas Light Company's application for authority to increase rates and charges. We can start with appearances from the company.
Good morning, Your Honor. Spencer Nichols on behalf of Washington Gas.
Good morning. Anyone here from Montgomery County? Doesn't look like it. Office of People's Counsel?
Good morning, Your Honor. Molly Woods for the Office of People's Counsel.
Good morning. And staff?
Good morning, Your Honor. Kenneth Albert on behalf of staff, and I would know my colleague Michael Dean is on the line, is on participating as well.
Good morning. All right, there was a filing by Office of People's Counsel regarding my request for the parties to meet and confer. Did you want to go through that, or did anyone want to be heard?
Your Honor, I'm happy to run through it if it would be helpful. The filing was on behalf of OPC, Washington Gas, and staff, based on our conversations leading up to that point.
Okay. All of the parties agree that we should go forward based on the existing record. WGL would like its comments on August 13th, 2025 to be included in that record. Office of People's Counsel believes the record should have closed at the issuance of the proposed order. What is staff's position?
Your Honor, the parties again have agreed, as you say, that the existing record is adequate. So to the extent that Washington Gas's pleading seems to be focused on sort of providing a summary and outline, walking you through the various positions on each of the issues with respect to the CapEx projects involved here. It really isn't all that necessary because that's evidence before you. And of course, to the extent they go beyond, and they do add some commentary characterizing certain assertions as conclusory by OPC on these projects, that sort of does go beyond what's in the existing record. So those, I mean, staff is kind of ambivalent on this, but I think the cleanest, fairest approach is to not consider those comments.
WGL?
Well, I think you'll see, Your Honor, the comments were intended to make it easier for you. And I definitely would disagree that it contains any significant argument. It really is just a recitation of what's already in the record. And it was, again, intended to make your order writing process as easy and as streamlined as possible. To the extent that OPC wants you to just ignore those comments, I think it's just going to create more work for you. But if OPC wants to file some kind of response disputing I don't know what, I think they should feel free to do so, and they could have already done so, but chose not to.
Office of People's Counsel?
Yes, thanks, Your Honor. It's OPC's position that as you said, the record closed at the time of the initial proposed order. And while we'd agree that Washington Gas's comments of August of this year don't put forth any new evidence, we don't think it's appropriate for the company to have the opportunity to rebrief the issue, which is essentially what that filing was. OPC filed a 4-page motion essentially intending to remind the commission of its obligation to revisit the prudency issues as required by the remand from the circuit court, and Washington Gas filed a 50-plus page set of comments in response. And while they're mostly block quotes from witness testimony and the company's briefing, that those excerpts are curated to support a particular position. So we don't think it would be appropriate for Your Honor to rely on that as sort of a roadmap for reviewing the record. As mentioned in our filing, if Your Honor would find something like that helpful, OPC has offered to confer with the parties and develop what we see as sort of amounting to a record extract, identifying the locations in the testimony and briefing that address these specific issues, and that would be sort of an objective roadmap for Your Honor to follow. If alternatively Your Honor does choose to consider Washington Gas's comments, we would request opportunity to respond. But again, we don't think that's appropriate in this case because the issue has already been briefed.
If I may, Your Honor.
Sure.
I certainly would challenge OPC to show where in our comments anything was selectively curated. I think it was. I think it's quite clear, and I don't think OPC will be able to show that our comments are really anything but a full and complete recitation of the record, which in this case is lengthy and extensive and detailed.
Might I
Okay.
respond to that, Your Honor? I'll just say in response that I think a good example is that the company's briefing is cited repeatedly throughout the comments, and of course OPC's brief is not cited repeatedly. There's more citations to the testimony from both sides, but again, in terms of framing the issues, understandably, Washington Gas is putting forward the evidence in the briefing that makes their case. And again, if Your Honor is inclined to consider that, OPC would request the opportunity to present the same.
So OPC would prefer to offer an abridged version of the record or a guideline to the record as opposed to responding to WGL's comments of August 13th, 2025, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
So any comments at this point are really more akin to brief than they are to actual evidence in the record. I agree. I think this type of review involves the record as it stood in 2021. I will, however, allow OPC to offer an abridged version of the record in consultation with the other parties. When would you like to have that done?
We haven't discussed a timeline with the other parties. I would imagine 2 weeks should be more than sufficient to do that. If Your Honor has another timeline in mind, we can certainly work with that.
No, that's fine.
Might I ask, Your Honor, so just to clarify, does that mean that Washington Gas's comments of August will not be considered? Thank you.
I have seen them, however, in preparation for this hearing or this status conference.
Understood.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything that we need to take up this morning?
Not for me, Your Honor.
Nothing from staff.
Your
All
Honor,
right.
just to ask a quick procedural question. Once we identify those sections of the record, what would be the most helpful format for you to receive it? I mean, would it be most helpful to actually compile it in one sort of PDF document or to compile citations to the record? How would be most useful to you?
Whatever is easiest for you works for me. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We can go off the record.